Hello, good morning. I am here with a lot of gear, so have no fear. I am going to fear about my audio for a little bit. Just I want to make sure things are sounding good. I did so many checks and pre-recording things, but you know, stuff always changes when you actually go live. So let's hear how it's sounding. Hello, good morning. Oh, that's sounding fantastic, as it should. Yeah, my big disclaimer, if you notice things going weird and you're like, oh man, that Rodecaster video probably can't be trusted, is user error. For sure. For sure. Yeah, so I want to do a live stream. Obviously, the Rodecaster video is now a thing that exists publicly, which is awesome. So I wanted to use it for a stream and kind of run through some of a few of the cool things that it can do, but happy to talk about other stuff too. This is just going to be the core of the stream here. So what do I have things? I have everything going at 24 frames per second, 23.98. Audio is running through the Rodecaster. I'm using the SM7B specifically because a lot of people asked about how this microphone, it's the same as the Rodecaster. Like it is just a Rodecaster inside of here. But I know it's hearing that is one thing, but hearing it is another thing. So this is the SM7B, no boosters or anything, just running straight into XLR1. And then I've also got this camera going over here. This is my A7S III with the 50mm lens. I've got an overhead camera, which I moved everything and screwed up my beautiful shot that I had planned out here. So there's my overhead camera. You probably don't need my microphone in the shot, but whatevs, we'll figure that out. And then I've also got my computer connected. So that's going to get a little bit weird, but I wanted to be able to show you some stuff in Rode Central. And there we go. Oh, I bumped my head on this and moved the overhead. That's why it was like out of frame. Right as the stream was about to start, I bumped my head and yeah, so that's fun. Welcome to Concussion Wednesdays. Alrighty, let's jump over here and just say hi to everybody real quick. I appreciate y'all being here, especially again, like short notice. I always appreciate that. Kodak is Ryan from Patreon. What's up? I'm not gonna make fun of anybody, except myself probably. Who said the product video had him scared because it would make things even more complicated. Yeah, I'm gonna make things needlessly complicated in this stream, but that's for fun. The Rodecaster video is complex, and there is a learning curve to it, but ultimately it simplifies things. That's its goal. Once you learn it, it simplifies things. I have a habit of then going, but what about other complicated thing that's unnecessary, and then doing that. So yeah, Greg was in third place. I was second. Who was first? Oh, it's not on here. It was so early. I forget who put in first. It's not in my Ecamm chat. Don, what's up? Did a great job in New York. Thank you. Let me move your comment down. I don't know why it went up there. Yeah, I got to go to New York to be at the B&H store for the Rode launch and be on a live stream panel right as they announced it, which was super cool. With Kat Mulvihill and Zeph and Moses and Ryan from Rode, who like I could see, you know, I don't know, a movie star, Brad Pitt, whoever a movie star is these days, like in the grocery store or whatever, and just be like, that's kind of cool. Ryan from Rode, I definitely get starstruck in a different way. So that was like super fun to spend the whole day there. Because then after that stream was over, we got to spend like 5 hours just kind of, they had this really cool demo set up that was all like multiple Rodecaster videos doing cool things. I just got to kind of hang out down there. So that was really cool. And also it was really cool because people came out to like say hi and be there. And that was like really, really fun. Monty's here, Team Rodecaster video. Looking forward to the Q&A. Yeah, me too. I'm so excited for this. Hey, look, it's Heather Just Create. This is my awesome, wonderful, amazing wife. Roger Science Corner. Hello. It's nice to see you. And David is here. What's up, David? The Zapata Brand podcast. Can anyone tell me how and what to do when I interview someone on StreamYard and we talk at the same time and it gets distorted and muffled? Let's see here. Should I put the Q colon? Q colon is probably a good thing. I'm going to add that in the chat. If you have like a specific question, oh no, did I get rid of my chat? If you have a specific question that you want addressed, put a Q colon in the chat, and that way it's going to help me find it. So that will be easier. Let me mute this so I don't do that. Add a Q colon to help me find your question. If you just want to like chat or just do random stuff, you don't need to do that. But if you have like more tech things, it does make it a little bit easier for me to find them, which is cool. And so we'll to answer that question, because I don't want to forget it, I actually don't know. I'm not a huge StreamYard user, so maybe someone else here is and can help out. Shotgun Studio says, glad Heather's finally getting a Rodecaster. Yes, after many, many years, my wife Heather we upgraded her office and we've rewired it 4 times this summer. And I think we're on the final round, and it's awesome and it looks great, but she's bringing in a streaming component like a PS5 and also streaming from her computer. And then I go in there sometimes for podcasts. So it's like, it's usually just a 1-person thing, but it's getting a little more complex, and she's always wanted simplicity. But in this case, a Rodecaster Duo is actually going to make things simpler for her, just like the one over my shoulder right here. She's getting the white one because her whole setup is going in that direction. It looks really awesome. So the Rodecaster Duo will let her not only have her voice, but when I show up for things, I can plug in a mic really easily, but also let her bring in like game audio super easily. And even if she got to a point where she wanted to do like, you know, a game chat, like a Discord chat that doesn't go on a stream, it would make it easy for that. So there's all kinds of cool stuff there. Thanks again. Is the mic going through the Rodecaster video directly? Yes, it is. And it has the same presets as the audio only Rodecaster. So I just have it on the SM7B preset. And then there's so many cool questions. There's a few. I'm going to star a few here just so I make sure we come back to them. Wait, is it Thursday? Oh, yeah. It's been a long week. Is it? Wait. No. It's Thursday. It's Thursday. Christopher says, love your efforts. Big thanks all the way from Edinburgh, Scotland. Thank you. I appreciate that. This is streaming. Is this streaming from the Rodecaster? Everything's running through it, but I'm using Ecamm specifically because I do want to be able to pop up comments on stream, which the Rodecaster cannot do yet, but that is some feedback that I and many others have submitted. So maybe in a future update, I don't know how they would implement it, but there's got to be a way, and that would be awesome if you could pop up comments. But that's the main thing I'm using Ecamm for today, is adding comments up here. Oh boy, you're in the middle of hurricane. I hope you're safe, and that is super scary. And I hope you're safe and you make it through. And if this stream can maybe take your mind off it for a little bit, maybe that's a good thing too. Real Pell Room, hey, what's up? B&H launch stream was great. It's so stressful to be on a stream that I have no control over because I'm a control freak. So it was like, I think there was like an audio issue at the beginning, which happens all the time in streams. It's totally fine, but it's like, I'm like, what do I do? I have to do nothing. I just have to sit there. But it's scary when, like, I don't know. There's just nothing there. Let's see. We got audio sync issues on the camera. Just me. I did a lot of testing, so there shouldn't be. But of course, once the stream actually starts, things could change. Bobby and Blue thought it may be a new Rodecaster. I saw you on NMC, so pumped to see what the video can do. Did you try Los Tacos? I wanted to, but I had like 0 time. I got there Monday night and left at like 4 a.m. on Wednesday. So I was like not there at all for any amount of time, unfortunately. Mine is shipped from B&H. Yeah, they said it was listed as pre-order right after they announced it, but like literally the truck or whatever was being delivered to B&H like at that moment. So I think there was just a shipping delay with like going over the ocean and whatnot from Australia. And I think they wanted it to be like instantly available for order when it was announced, but I think it took a day for things to start getting fulfilled. It's awesome. Like, you are going to love it. I see all the cute colons, which is cool. So I'm going to come back and we're going to jump into that. These are really great questions, actually. I'm excited to dive into this. Eric says, definitely help me avoid pitfalls and navigate what equipment to use. Cool. Yeah, I hope you can learn from my mistakes because I make lots of them. Love the videos. Looking forward to the Rodecaster video. And all right, I'm going to jump into Q colon things. We'll jump back to general chat too. We got loose structure going on here. Let's jump over here. Let's do multicam, right? Although, here, I'll do the question. I can answer the question over there. Let's do that. Okay. Luke asks, what's a piece of tech that wasn't bad, but just disappointing? And I can answer that over here. Bad, but just disappointing. Oh, that's a good question. I'm not sure, because when stuff isn't good, I just don't really use it ever, honestly. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head I've been disappointed with. I think maybe the closest thing could be, like, since we're talking about the Rodecaster video, when the Streamer X was launched, I was so excited about that because Rode announced the Duo, the PodMic USB, and the Streamer X at the same time. And I was most excited about the Streamer X because at that point they had never done video. This definitely wasn't a thing that existed yet. At least I'm sure it did in prototypes, but it didn't exist for us. And so I was really, really excited for that 4K capture card. It's awesome. And then I got it, and I just kind of had some issues getting mine figured out, and it got really frustrating. And I ended up, I was over here, ended up liking my Rodecaster Duo. Like, I can't believe how much I love. That's the main thing on my desk over there. Like, it's so good. And so the Streamer X, I like got frustrated with, and it honestly just sat in a shelf for a long, long time until like the beginning of this year. I was like, okay, let's give it another try. And then there had obviously been firmware updates in like the 8 months after the release, and then it got significantly better. And I was using it as my main capture card a lot, and then it got commandeered. It's currently my wife's camera capture card and audio interface, so it might come back in here once the Rodecaster gets in her studio. But yeah, it works great now. I was disappointed when it first came out, but I like it now a lot. And up until now, that was my main capture card since like the beginning of this year. So I quite enjoy that a lot. Let's see here. Is it possible to connect an iPhone or an iPad as a camera using the Rodecaster Video? As a camera, there has to be a way that this is possible. I don't know what it would be, because the Rodecaster does have USB webcam capabilities. But I mean, I have my phone, I have a cable, we could try it. The webcams it works with need to be UVC, which is something that's new to me, and that just means they're like, I guess it's the type of signal or the type of output that the webcam gives out, and not every webcam does that. So I have a feeling iPhones and stuff don't do that, but I don't know. Let's try it. Let's just see here. Let's plug into USB 4. This is probably, I don't know if it's going to pull in audio, but if I open up the camera app, I am not getting a signal. I didn't think that would work, but it was worth a try. There's probably a smart person out there who can get that to work. Someone's smarter than me. But that was my one test that I did. That's a really good question, though. I like that question. Did you guys ever try to connect the wireless Me to a Rodecaster Duo? I've tried today, but it seems like a lot of white noise. I did play with settings. Any secrets? So here's a good question. I wanted to use wireless stuff today, but I have, if you could see, the Rodecaster Video, like coming out and being able to make videos about it is like the grand finale of maybe the busiest 6 weeks I've ever had in like my YouTube career. There's been so many videos and so many projects and so many things that like this space is completely destroyed. And there's just so much stuff, and I have so much weird electronic stuff happening that I was getting a lot of interference, not just with Rode stuff, like the 2.4 gigahertz Rode things. I was getting some interference today, but I also got on my DJI mic, and I was going to use like a UHF system, and I was like, let's just keep it simple, use the SM7B and be done with it. So anyway, that's different. That was like signal interference just because I'm in of the setup that I currently have. The white noise thing, something that I've noticed can happen, and this happens a lot on my Interview Pro, is if you have the noise gate turned on, it's kind of like constant and adaptive. And so what I've noticed with the Interview Pro, so I have the noise gate turned on and I'm talking into it, sounds great. If I set the mic down and like leave and come back and it's sort of just sitting like picking up room noise and I bring it back, then it's like almost it's been readjusted or recalibrated itself. So maybe diving into your settings and turning off like some of the processing, turning off some of the noise gate or whatever, or adjusting it might be a way to help with that white noise signal thing. If anyone else has suggestions for that, though, that would be super appreciated, because maybe you could help me too. Should I sell my YOLObox Ultra to get a Rodecaster Video because a Rode user already? So that's such a good question. I talked about this in my video where like it's natural to compare the Rodecaster Video to ATEM Minis, which I have my ATEM Extreme, but I got my ATEM Mini right here. But I really don't think that they're actually competing products at all, because the ATEM is just a switcher basically, and the Rodecaster is like full-on production suite. They do very different things. The YOLObox, though, which I have my Ultra right here, the YOLObox is a little bit different because it's more expensive than the Rodecaster Video, but it can do a lot, and it can accept 4K Although I'm kind of putting a little asterisk there just because it can accept 4K signals just fine. It says it can stream in 4K, but when I record in 4K, I can only get 1080 files out of it. So asterisk. But I put this here. Oh, can't you see this? Let me turn down let me play with some of the exposure here on this overhead cam real quick. They just announced, oh boy. Oops, that's the wrong way. I don't know if you can see this. Oh no, that's auto ISO. We don't want that. We're gonna keep it low. I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not, but they just, yeah, not happening there. They just announced an update on the YOLObox Ultra like today, and that's what the screen is. I haven't installed it on mine yet, but it is to, sorry, I'm so distracted trying to refocus this. It is to add a video follow audio feature, which is like auto switching on the Rodecaster video, so you can pair microphone to a video source, an audio source to a video source, and have it auto switch when that audio source becomes active. Very curious how YOLO's going to implement that. I'll install it right now. There we go. Very curious how they're going to implement that, because they usually do a really good job, and it's all just a touch screen right there. I think they are kind of closer competing products, but they are a little different. Some advantages to the YOLObox are if you just want it to be a self-contained unit. Oops, I turned off the display. It is just the big touch screen. Like, you know, there's no physical buttons really on it at all. It's just the big touch screen. And that can be really helpful because then you don't need a secondary display or connect it to a computer or anything. You can just do everything from there. You can pop comments up on screen. If you do any kind of sports stuff, it has the scoreboard feature, so you can add, I feel like this is sagging, so you can add sports scores and change them dynamically and add all the graphics and stuff. That's really cool. That's something I would love to see come to the Rodecaster video in an update. But it's also, that's like one of the only things I know that does that. So there's some advantages there. The Rodecaster video, though, some advantages here are, I mean, kind of I feel bad saying this, but the reliability, everything it does very reliably. And that was a big thing with Rode, was like, it's not something that should drop a frame every, 2 hours or something. Like, it should never drop a frame. And that's one of the reasons it took so long for it to finally come out, is making it as reliable as possible. And that peace of mind is awesome, which is why I wanted to emphasize, if something goes wrong today, it's me. Like, we've eliminated the variable here. And the other big thing that stands out is the audio. The fact that you do have a Rodecaster built into the Rodecaster, which makes sense, but you've got these two XLR ports with all the full processing, full preamps, all that kind of stuff just right here. That solves so many problems. And that, I think that's, as this is out longer, that's going to be apparent at what a huge advantage it is over a lot of other things. So just my 2 cents, my $1. So to answer your question, if you love the YOLObox, I guess this is actually a good question. Yeah. I had a few people leave comments on my video where they were like, I've already got a Rodecaster and a Stream Deck and a ATEM or whatever, and like, my setup's good, so I don't need this. And I was like, yeah, you don't. If you have a setup where everything is great and it's all working really well and it's solving all your needs, don't spend a whole bunch of money to like disrupt that. Like, stay the course. If it's not broke, don't fix it. If you have a need that's not being met, or some part of your workflow has a lot of friction, and this is something that might be able to help that, then dive in there. I do think the integrated, amazing audio is something that's really going to be helpful for a lot of people, for sure. ISO recording bit rates. What are the bit rates? You can choose them. That is not a thing I know on top of my head, but I do have my little SSD right here, so we can SSC. Ow. See, now I bumped the camera. That's how it gets out of whack there. Where does this go? I think 3 was where I put it. Let's try to fix our camera now here. Yeah, so you notice once I connected the SSD, then this button turned on. So this is where I could turn on ISO recording via USB. So let's dive into some of the menu here. There's a little bit of a glare. See if I can get rid of that glare a little. Doop, 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 doop. Storage. Disk. Oh, wait. That's not what I wanted. I don't want to... let me see. If I press record... What is the ISO bitrate? I don't know how to find it. record video program. No, we want to record ISO. We don't want program. We want ISO for sure. Record audio, multi-track, USB audio. I don't know what the bitrate is off the top of my head, honestly. I thought it was in there. I thought you could select it. And I swear I've seen that. Sorry, I don't know which camera to go to. I swear I've seen that, but I could be wrong. We'll see. So I don't know. I don't know right now off the top of my head, but it's a good question. It seems good. I don't know if that's not a satisfying answer, but like it's, to me, when I was working with footage from it, when I have worked with footage from ISO tracks, I can't tell the difference from stuff that was recorded internally on my cameras. So that's, to me, good enough. Well, as good as it could be, honestly. RV Miles asks, also ISO, does it save a master video track that includes the cuts? I know it doesn't do an editable XML, but would love the individual camera shots. Yes, it does. So you get a file, it's called default, and then you get all of the isolated tracks. And I do know that a lot of people have been requesting that it creates XML. So a big advantage to the ATEMs is because Blackmagic owns DaVinci Resolve. If you have one of the ISO ATEMs, it can just create a Resolve file for you that you can open up and it like then adjust your edits in there. Rode does not own a video editor, but it's still probably possible for the Rodecaster video to generate an XML file that then you could open up in your video editor of choice, which I would actually be totally fine with because I use Final Cut anyway. So I would really, really love that, based on how I've seen them replying to people's comments on other videos, if that makes sense. Like I heard from a friend of a friend who has a friend kind of thing. It seems like that's something that, like feedback that has been forwarded to their development team. I feel like it can't be that insanely complicated if they're already doing this. It has to be doable. Matt, is there anything the Duo has that isn't included in the video? It's got all the bells and whistles. Yeah. Obviously the physical controls. So like, you don't have the faders and things, but under the hood, it's all the things. And when you go into, this is actually why I have my computer plugged in. This might look weird, so get ready. Okay, there's a lot of stuff. Oh, I even made a little scene so I could pop up. What up? I'm in a lot of places now. There we go. Look at that. But I wanted to be able to show you Rode Central. So when you go into the audio portion of it, you essentially just have like a Rodecaster. So right now I'm using combo 1. Let's go to combo 2. I don't want to mess anything up. So this, if you have a Rodecaster, this should look very familiar. And you can even go in here and choose all your presets for what mic you want to use, or just make your own. And you can click on advanced, and then you have all the exact same settings, all the same processing settings that you do on the Rodecaster Pro 2 and the Rodecaster Duo. So yeah, under the hood, even though this is just so small and doesn't have the physical Rodecaster things, inside of it is a Rodecaster, and that is very cool. It's basically a Duo. And it also has the USB output. So when you do like your main and your chat, has those same USB outputs that the Rodecasters do, which is like so cool. Let's see here. Probably a dumb question. Not a dumb question. I'm sure there's dumb questions in the world. This is not one of them. Can it do multicam recording? Yes, you can do multi-track outputs. That's what ISO. So if you hear people talking about ISO recording, that means isolated tracks. You can do isolated audio and video tracks output, or you can just do your standard program ones if you want. Can it run only on hardware without the need of a PC? Yes, you can stream directly from it. You can actually load different, right now it can only stream to one destination at a time, but you can load different profiles in it. So like you could put your YouTube key, your Instagram one, your Facebook one, whatever, and you can choose which one and just go live from there, either via Wi-Fi or Ethernet. So super powerful. It's nice. You can kind of see here, I have the external display connected just so I can see my multi-track stuff happening, which I have a way of bringing this into the stream, which I'll do later. It's silly how I did it. This is very helpful because you can see everything, but even if I didn't have this and I just kind of trusted my gut, I'd be able to switch just from there. It's very nice having it run through an external display. If you don't have that, you can connect it to a computer and then use Rode Central as your monitor if you want. And I do have mine physically connected to the computer right now because I needed it as a source for Ecamm for this stream, but I don't actually need this to mess with the Rodecaster, so I can connect to it through Wi-Fi. As long as these two things are on the same network, this will show up in Rode Central, and I can go in and change everything and build scenes and do switching and stuff over Wi-Fi, which is very, very cool. So you have, that's neat. I don't know, it's really fun. That's like, I lost my mind when I figured that out. Elegant solution for more XLR inputs. Oh, you showed up at the right time. So this is something that I almost feel it's in Rode's announcement video, and we kind of skimmed over it in the stream at B&H the other day. This is pretty cool. So here's my overhead shot. If I zoom out, you're gonna notice some other things on my desk here. One of which being the Rodecaster Pro 2. So initially, I really thought that the Rodecaster video would sort of look like both of these devices put together. So I'm trying not to tip over my mic here. I sort of thought it would look like a Rodecaster with this on the bottom. And there's a lot of reasons that they chose not to go down that design route. But one of them is because you can do elegant audio inside here. Like it's a nice, simple, clean solution. But if you need more, here's my Rodecaster Pro 2. Here's what I can do. I hope this USB cable works. I can run USB 2. So on here, the USB 2 port, and same thing with the Rodecaster Duo, I can run that into 4 or 5. USB 4 or USB 5 on there. And now you might hear something. I'm going to play the intro to my... Oh, actually, wait, I'm seeing... How is this picking up audio? I'm seeing the USB pick up audio, and I don't know how it's doing that. Oh, right, through USB 2. That's silly. We're gonna mute that though, because we don't want echoes. There might have been an echo there, I'm not sure. But now, like, I can play this little sound bit here. This is an intro to my podcast. And that's just coming from the Rodecaster. I can turn that off there. Let's see. Here. I'm gonna grab a mic. Grab cable. And oh, stay. Okay. Let's plug this into the Rodecaster. See, this is when I said, remember I was going to make things more complicated on myself than they needed to be. This is part of that. But I want to see these things because this is very cool because the Rodecaster Pro has 4 inputs. So now I have 6 XLR inputs here. Boop. Let's see what this is going to possibly sound like, though. The easiest way would be to bump this up and then go here. Let me make sure we're using I can just set it to the NT1 preset on here on the Rodecaster. Here, I can see what I'm doing there. So Rodecaster's on NT1 preset. That's looking pretty good as far as that goes. So now what I should be able to do is mute my current mic. That didn't work. I think I messed up a thing when I muted the thing over here. I messed up the thing when I muted the thing. And then now I want to make sure we're not doing, let's go to our outputs. Routing, USB 2, mix minus. There we go. Let's just make sure we got mix minus, and that should be okay. And now I can turn this off. And that might have sounded weird for a second there because everything was changing. But now you're hearing me through the NT1 signature series that's just going through the Rodecaster Pro 2. And I am going to bring up the stream because I want to see what the heck this is having. Let's see. Okay, perfect. It's like I wanted to make sure which mic was on. Yeah. So now this audio is running through the Rodecaster, and then I can just use the Rodecaster Pro 2 same way as I would before. I can adjust the audio here. It just shows up as a single USB source on the Rodecaster video. But that's the easiest way to do it because it's through USB. So you're not running janky cables. You're not trying to do like 3.5 to quarter-inch adapters, XLR to whatever. You're just connecting through USB. So you're getting like a clean native signal that's going to sound exactly the same. There should be no difference in audio quality between what you're getting from these XLR inputs now and what you're getting from these XLR inputs. So now I have 6 XLR inputs on the Rodecaster video, which is really cool. And this is something I wasn't even 100% aware you could do this easily, just built right in. So that's kind of awesome. I think I'm going to switch back, though, just for simplicity. So now we should be back on the SM7B. I'm going to put this... Oi! There we go. Put that over there for a second, and there we go. So I hope that made sense. I'm gonna jump into just the regular chat for a minute and just see what's up. Looks like a lot of it. Yeah, I cannot wait to get all this stuff like put away. Yeah, we live in the desert, so it's also very hot. What's up, Rob? I really like, it looks like you like brightened all the colors in your profile picture, and it looks so good. At least on my screen here, it looks really, really good. Okay, it looks like we're kind of caught up in terms of the discussion here. Okay, good. Thank you, John. Coffee Talking Tech. I'm not the only crazy person who didn't know the bitrate. Alrighty. So I'm going to jump back into the Q colons just so we can answer some questions here, but I wanted to see kind of where we're at. It's also like, I love my MacBook Pro. Trying to run Road Central and the stream and like all this stuff on this one 14-inch screen. It's a little tricky, which is funny. All right, so let's jump through. I apologize if I miss anything here. Okay. Oh, here's an easy question. What's the mic stand? This is the Rode DS2, which I really like, but I also put the Audio Technica AT8459. I think that's the number. It's this little ball swivel joint here just to allow for a little more reach and flexibility. Although sometimes now it can make this a little too long and it becomes top heavy. So just making sure the mics are balanced. But it, as you saw, like I had the Rode NT1 on the same stand. I really like this stand. It's expensive, but it's an outstanding stand if you have the budget for it. How are you liking the Rodecaster video? Do you still use your ATEM, or do you think you'll switch to the Rodecaster video permanently? So that's a great, I love this thing. Truth be told, I hope I'm able to say this. I got a demo of this in January and it is September. So I got like, the first time I got to see it and kind of play with it and see what it does was in January. And I was blown away, and the device was the same, but it was running like, you know, early firmware interface stuff, and it still did everything. And I was pretty blown away by it. And I've been excited about it ever since. It is now the end of September. So I'm like, I was so excited for it. I got mine a month ago. So I've had mine for about a month. And because I saw it in January and got it in like August, I was like, oh, cool. I can't wait to have it. I don't remember how to do anything. Like, I don't remember how to use this. So I've been trying to dive in and relearn it too. My thing was like, just learn one new feature every day, kind of my approach to it. And I absolutely love this thing. And then getting to go just spend, you know, full day with the people who helped make the device. I learned a ton more about it that I wasn't even aware of before. So it's incredibly powerful. For me, it definitely replaces the ATEM, no question. For a lot of reasons, big one being audio. Like I have struggled with ATEM audio for like 4 or 5 years at this point. And this, my main setup when I use the ATEM is just ATEM in one USB, Rodecaster into another USB, and then you mix them with Ecamm or OBS or whatever. Now it's just all audio in here, done. And I can't tell you like the relief that is. And then I just love the functionality, the quality of it. It is 1080. I know I saw that question. We're going to talk about that. So anytime I don't need 4K, this is definitely what I'm going to be using. And I am even going to use it on, I don't know like what videos would be. I don't really do unboxing videos, but every once in a while I'll do some sort of video. It might even be a tutorial, like something on this where it's like, I just need to show you this, something from an overhead shot, and then have like 1 or 2 camera angles going. In those situations, I would rather use this and put out a 1080 video than do a 4K video, because some of that stuff, like, it doesn't need to be in 4K. And the workflow is just so much better. Like I talked about this in the overview video I did, but being able to just press this button right here and have everything record, which is the same thing when you're recording ISO with an ATEM. It's the same situation. You plug in your SSD and that's no different there. And then you just have your default file that you throw into your editor, and like I don't have to sync up 4 different cameras and color grade. Like I can just do this one file and be done with it. That is definitely going to be a workflow that makes its way into tons of live streams. I really like being able to stream in 4K, but it's more about the like, can I? Not like, do I need to? So if I do single camera streams, those are probably going to stick in 4K. If I do multicam streams, I'm using this. Basically, in a lot of ways, for me, yes, it replaces the ATEM. I love it. I don't know how else to describe it. But actually, it doesn't mean the ATEM doesn't have a place. So maybe now is actually a good point for this because I don't know when this will pop up. We connected the Rodecaster, right? And I told you there was a way for me to get this display in here. When I said things were going to get silly, this is kind of what I meant. I'm going to move the Rodecaster over there. I'm going to put this here. I'll be right back. Oy. My mic fell down. Stay. Okay. All right, I'm back now. This is my ATEM Extreme, which I love. Like, the ATEMs are great, and I don't want anyone to be like, oh, like, does this mean ATEMs aren't good or what? Like, ATEMs are fantastic. They serve a different purpose, and they do different things. I'm disconnecting everything as I'm talking. So one thing I was hoping, which isn't the case, is that the ATEM, since it is just seen by your computer as a webcam, I was like, can I just connect this via USB to the Rodecaster video and now have the ATEM as a webcam interface? And the answer is no, because it doesn't put out that UVC format. You can connect two Rodecaster videos together through USB, so that if you wanted to do that, you could do that. But I think a lot of people are in the situation I'm at where you might want the Rodecaster video, but you already have an ATEM. And even if the Rodecaster video does make sense for you, like it solves problems, it improves your workflow, whatever it might be, even if that's the case, you kind of feel bad. Like, I don't want my ATEM to go to waste. I don't know, like, these just sitting in a drawer is very sad. So here's something you can do. And actually, I'm going to switch my mic again. I hope this sounds okay. I do have my MKH50 kind of boomed overhead. Probably hear a little more room reverb, but as I'm trying to set this situation up, I think this is a good idea. So what I'm going to do now, though, is I have... Okay, this is the HDMI out of the ATEM. I'm going to switch this. Let's put camera 3. Yeah. Okay. Thoughts are happening. Let's put that here. So now, this is so silly. So now the ATEM is going to be source 3. And then, boy, I need like longer cables for this. I can put my computer as a source on the ATEM. And then I can put, I think I need a longer HDMI over here. All right, let's do that. My second HDMI output is going to go into the ATEM. So the Rodecaster, okay, so let's just back up a second real quick, right? So right now I can, on the Rodecaster video, I can press camera 3 and you're going to see my computer. This image is, this HDMI input of the computer is not going in, there we go. It's not going in through the Rodecaster video. This is actually the ATEM. And, sorry, and so yeah, because the computer is now connected to the ATEM. The ATEM is now connected to the Rodecaster, and that's what you're seeing here. But the other thing I wanted to try to do, which I think I actually need another longer HDMI cable for, here's one, let me grab it with my feet. All right. Now I can run, wait, Rodecaster to there. Yeah, that makes sense. Wait, this is, sorry, now I'm confused. Okay, let's jump over here and see what I can change in terms of my HDMI outputs. I think we're in video, HDMI B, multi-view. Yes, that's what we want. And then, oh, of course, that's the problem. I don't have, oops, now there's too many buttons. I don't have multi-view on the ATEM, so I couldn't see it. So I guess in order to use this, I would really need the ATEM to be going to another monitor so I can see all its inputs. But channel 3 on the ATEM is now, did you see that? That's crazy. Is now the multi-view of the Rodecaster. So this part at the top up here, the infinity screen, that's the program window. The bottom half of the display there are all my different inputs and how you see the mixer and everything. And so actually on the Rodecaster, what I can do, like if I wanted to go through audio, I can just push this multifunction knob and jump through my audio sources to adjust those different ones there. And then you can kind of see the info. Like if I press record, now you can see that I'm recording and there's 82 hours left on my hard drive if I want to. We've got the date, and then you will have, if I were streaming over the network, you would have your data rate there. So this is what the multi-view output of the Rodecaster video looks like. But the reason I wanted to do that was, well, one, I'm running the Rodecaster into the ATEM so I can go back into the Rodecaster, which is silly and unnecessary. But I wanted to illustrate that it is possible, especially, you know, if you spend a little more time cleaning up your setup here, you can run your ATEM as an HDMI source into the Rodecaster video. And now I guess I took away an input. I have 11 HDMI inputs right now because this is 8, this is 4, but the ATEM is taking up one of them. So I have 11 HDMI inputs and then potentially 2 USB webcam inputs. So you can kind of go crazy, and you could HDMI another ATEM into this ATEM. So like, I wouldn't want to, I don't know if you're doing the Super Bowl with like ATEMs and Rodecaster videos or something, which probably aren't, but I think that's pretty cool. And then that was like one of the ways for me to show you, this looks so silly. One of the ways for me to show you the thing right there. And now this is the Rodecaster. So if I have my computer connected there, now I can just go back to my computer screen. You can see what's on my computer screen and how I'm using everything there, which is, I hear my voice in the hallway. I'm guessing my wife Heather is walking by the door there. I got so confused. Alrighty, so, oh wait, I pushed the button on the ATEM. Now there's too many buttons, but isn't this kind of cool though? Like, just as an idea for like different types of workflows and different types of things, you can have your Rodecaster video as the core of everything, which I'm gonna go back to in a second for simplicity's sake. But you can also USB in a traditional Rodecaster, and you can also HDMI in an ATEM. So your ATEMs don't have to go to waste anymore if you did upgrade to the Rodecaster. And then I can record to the SSD right here, and I got the wireless, like there's so much functionality. And we haven't even talked about like scenes or any of that stuff. So I think I'm gonna go back and make things a little simpler on myself just so I don't keep making mistakes. So let's unplug the Rodecaster Pro and just kind of leave you over there. Let's unplug the ATEM. Let's go back to reality here. Okay, and then we're gonna pop this in there. Ooh, okay, I thought I unplugged something. I also really like the super colorful Rode XLR cables. All right, ATEM, you're gonna go right here again. And I think we're back. We've got my computer as a source on the Rodecaster. We still got my little scene right there. All right. Oh, I forgot. The whole reason I wanted to do that, I have this camera here, and I was gonna make an example of like, my computer is taking up an input, but I have 3 cameras I wanna use. I could put the computer and the extra camera and even the Rodecaster's output into the ATEM, and now I can switch between those. I just forgot. So this camera's doing nothing. I can probably just make sure it's turned off. Yeah. I'm gonna switch back to the SM7B and dive into some questions, and then I'd like to like go into making some. I'd like to make a scene with the Rodecaster over there. Things are falling apart all over the place here. Alrighty, so badoop. Let's jump in and just see what on earth is going on now. Catching up on things. I am absolutely gonna run out of colors at some point. Can you record your computer monitor with it? Well, that's kind of the way that I did. Push button sound effects. Currently, like, it does not have the sound pads, smart pads of the Rodecaster. There are sounds, you can do sounds built in. I'm not really sure because there is a sound thing on here. It's like a sound channel. I don't know where those sounds live. It's a good question. Yeah, Heather walked in this morning. She was like, "Holy shnikes, what is going on in here?" All right. let's go back to some cues. Let's A some cues over here. And back to my cam. Okay. See, we're keeping things. We're back going simple again now. Simple as could be. Because the next question was a loaded one. And let's see here. Okay, I think this is a really important one that I think addresses some other ones, and I'm glad it's kind of in the middle of the stream because I know this pops up a lot, and I don't want to keep. Hello. Oh, see how much my wonderful wife, looks out for me. She was like, "Someone put a super chat, and you shouldn't ignore that." Thank you, and thank you, Century 21 Edge. I appreciate the support. I need to buy some more HDMI cables so I can have all the colors. And this is a huge help to that. So I very, very much appreciate that. It's very nice having someone who looks out for you like that. It's so nice. But we were talking about 4K. I know this question was from a while ago, but this is something that pops up a lot. I talked about it in my video. Is no 4K on the Rodecaster video really a big deal? I feel like it should have been included, especially with the first foray into video being the being gamer 4K-ish. So this question got so much more complex than I realized it, and I've learned a lot. I learned a lot from Rode directly, but also just from being at B&H and being like, hey, you got every switcher in the world right here. Let me go look at all of them and see all the features and stuff. This is so much more complicated than I thought it was, the 4K issue. The Streamer X, by comparison, is just a much simpler product. It's a single 4K input, and that's it. You're not doing scenes, you're not doing composites, you're not doing overlays or anything like that. You're just putting an input in, and it's 4K, which is why like something like a Camlink 4K can be so simple. But I thought the same thing. Like Streamer X came out a year ago. Next thing comes out, year and a half later, year later, and it has 4 HDMI inputs. And wouldn't they be 4 4K inputs? And the big thing that I'm learning is that the complexity with 4K, I think I'm going to need more arm movement space here. The complexity with 4K is that it is not a linear thing. I kind of thought like, okay, you have a 1080 input. You have 2 1080 inputs, 3, 4. Like each one's adds a little more complexity, but then it's kind of like that. And then 4K might take a lot more than 1080, but then once you've got 1 4K, 2 4K, it turns out it's one of those more like exponential curves in terms of complexity, which I really honestly just didn't understand. And so here, I guess here's kind of the way to put that. And a lot of people are saying the price, it should be 4K because $1,200 is very, very expensive. And it is. Let's see. Let's go back to my computer. But here's something that I do want to point out. I'll pop myself here. Let's go to B&H. You could go to whatever your thing of choice is. If I type in 4K video switcher, I'm going to find, this is the one that's going to pop up. We're going to see this Blackmagic. Okay, you're going to get mixed in Blackmagic ATEM minis that are not 4K. Can I do... Oh, filter results. You're going to see stuff like this. So Blackmagic does have like this 4K switcher, which is $1,700, the Constellation switcher. This is something that's really intended more, I don't know if you can see the back of it here. This is intended more for like pro production environments. You got all these SDI inputs, and it's not necessarily a rack mounted device, but it's kind of, this would go in more of like a bigger production array. It's not something that would necessarily replace like an ATEM. It's sort of a different product, I guess I should say, than an ATEM or a Rodecaster video. So if we kind of scroll down here, there's Rodecaster video with a whole kit going on. We've got some ATEMs. Here's a bigger Blackmagic for $3,700. If we start going into like switchers that have 4K inputs, we're getting into bigger television things. This one's $4,500. I'm trying to find the cheapest one. See, this one, like this one says 4 HDMI inputs, but I think when I looked at this and I looked at the specs of it, no, there's 4K. Okay. So here we go. This is a very complicated one. This is kind of what I thought the Rodecaster video would look like, this Roland right here, which is very complicated, but still does not have like a lot of the graphic scene building stuff that the Rodecaster does, although really nice, and it does have good audio. And Roland Where's the audio? Do they show the back of it? There we go. We do have XLR audio happening in here, which is very, very cool because not much else happens. It's $3,100. And it still doesn't do as much of the production stuff as the Rodecaster video does, even though it looks like it has more buttons and bells and whistles and things. So that's where it's like, okay, if you're looking at the quality of audio that the Rodecaster video has, the quality of all of the different, production side of things, the scene building, the overlays, the keying, all that stuff, and you want it to be 4K, based on like this is being the cheapest other option, it's something that would end up being like $8,000. Like it's just very expensive. And I kind of didn't realize that. So all that to say, if there was a 4K button, like turn 4K on or off, I would push the 4K button. And then I would use this. I would never record internally to my cameras again. I would just record everything that I do into the Rodecaster video and use it for everything 100% of the time. But I do understand why, even though $1,200 is not cheap and it's the most expensive thing Rode has ever made, I understand a little more of why it's incredibly difficult to put 4K into something. And then the other thing is thinking about the intended audience. And this is, if you look at ATEMs, they are used by a lot of streamers and YouTubers and content creators and stuff. But where they really kind of found their home is in like, I don't know what you would call it, almost like client projects, live events, churches, schools, like those types of settings. That's where you're always going to see an ATEM type setup. And those settings, not only do they have no need for 4K, a lot of times they don't even have the capability of it because they're not streaming to YouTube or something. If you're not looking to YouTube or maybe Facebook, I don't know, YouTube, Facebook, maybe Twitch, like those kind of main content creator platforms, a lot of places that events and things are streamed and showed, or if they're done internally, the platforms they're using are not even capable of supporting 4K. If you look at pro broadcasts, if you look at TV news broadcasts, multicam broadcasts there, Saturday Night Live, they don't have a whole 4K setup. Like at least I don't think so. I could be wrong. But it's something that there's just like not this huge infrastructure for. And so it kind of makes sense the more I was learning about the resources and the potential cost. I think it actually was kind of the right move, even though in a perfect world, I would love to just push that 4K button and have 4K on there. I actually understand it a little bit more why they didn't necessarily do that. And I don't know what maybe could potentially be modified, change with future firmware updates, because I know this thing is over-spec'd. The internals are way more powerful than they need to be for what they do, but that's to keep it reliable. And that's kind of the thing, especially I'm guessing from Rode's point of view, they've never really done something like this. And so there's no room for error really, which is why it, like I saw it in January and it didn't come out till September. Like there's no room, like it has to do everything it says it can do perfectly all the time. Because if they release this thing and it's kind of half baked and unreliable, like, yeah, it's 4K, but like the 4K stutters and it gets all funky or whatever, it would just like kill any future chances that the company would have in the video market. So they did everything they could to kind of hit sort of this form factor, price point, capability, feature set, make it as reliable as possible. And then from there, who knows? Like, I don't know. I have no info. There's no other things I've seen previews of. I have zero NDAs for anything at the moment from any company, so I know nothing, more so than usual. But now that they have this, maybe since this, like I talked about in my video, is like a full-on suite. It can do everything. Maybe now you could drop down and do like a switcher, like just a basic switcher that's less expensive. Maybe you could scale it up and do, 4 inputs or have physical control. Like, now that they have this, maybe in the future, if this does well and people seem to like it, maybe they can branch out and do other things. Because another thing is everything in here, and this is one thing I really like about Rode, they developed everything themselves. They didn't just like go overseas, find a company that was making switchers and like, can you just put our logo on the faceplate of that? Like, they had to figure out how to develop the entire architecture and platform like in their Australia factory, which takes years to do. But now that they have it, who knows what they can do with it? And so that's also very, very exciting. And maybe they'll find out. Maybe they'll be like, you know what? There are people out there who want to pay $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 for a full-on 4K switcher. Let's make one and sell it to those people. I don't know, but that's kind of the like. I guess to sum it up, I would love 4K. It'd be great. I fully understand why it's not possible in something like this, and the price point is, even though it's a lot of money, it's still like a bargain for everything it can do, all things considered. Because even pre-ATEM, the world of pre-ATEMs, any switcher was thousands of dollars. Like you're not, it's almost like the Elgato prompter. One of my other favorite tools, this is $280, and it's a prompter with a built-in display. If you've never used a prompter before and you're like, oh, it's just kind of this tiny thing with a little screen, why is it $280? I've had so many people message me saying that they think it's too expensive or leave comments that it's too expensive. This is the least expensive prompter with a built-in display ever made. And by a lot. Like, I think currently the second least expensive one is upwards of $1,000, but prior to even that, and prior to like this being out, and I know this because I had to put together Multicam broadcast studios for education for a number of years, the cheapest ones I could ever find were like $1,700. And they had absolutely garbage software, and they were super unreliable. So then when I see something that's like, oh my God, you took all of that capability, you made it $300, $280, I'm losing my mind thinking it's the best deal of the century. But if you've never been in that world and you're like, oh, why would I spend $300 on a prompter? Like my camera was, $800. That's insane. There's that point of view. So I think the Rodecaster kind of has that same thing. If you've been in this world for a long time, you kind of go, oh my gosh, I can't believe that's only $1,200. But if you're coming at it from the other point of view, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that's $1,200. And that's why it needs time to sort of like settle in and find where it belongs. And then that'll give it more context, which is something I tried to talk about and do in my video on it this week. Alrighty. So that's the 4K discussion. I wanted to kind of condense all that. That is kind of the main thing, because if you are a content creator, a streamer, a solo creator, like that is a number one thing. It's like, wait, 4K, but everything's moving to 4K. Should this be 4K? That was my first question in January when I saw this for the first time, was like, why no 4K? So that's everything I know. Those are my thoughts. I've come to understand it, even though it is something I still wish was there. Reality is a thing. Believe it or not, stinking reality is a thing. Okie dokie, let's jump in here and see. I'm sure I'm like so far behind on questions, but it's okay. And I also want to talk about scenes and stuff too. So actually, Matt from probably 30 minutes ago, thanks for doing that. As a mostly audio only podcaster, eventually I like to jump into video. So I have an audio only podcast as well that I've like tinkered with video. And I've taken like a many months long break from it because I wasn't sure where to go with it. This is going to let me do video of my podcast, because what I can do, for example, you're probably going to mute me, I'm probably going to get muted in a second, but I can load in media. So what I can do on the Rodecaster, for example, let's zoom in back here. Let's get things nice and situated again, right? Okay, let's get that. Let's focus it. There we go. What I can do right here is now I can press this media button, and what I'm seeing here is now I have two clips here. One of them is the intro to my podcast, one is the outro. So the same way that I could do everything with the Rodecaster Pro, where I would like play my intro song, fade in, my audio, do everything on the fly, fade it out. Now I can do that here, because what I could do is I can play the intro to the podcast. I don't know if you can hear me. I think you can still hear me. The intro to the podcast will be here. When that's done, it can come to me over here. And when I'm done with the podcast, I can just play this right really loud. I'm sorry. I can just play the outro right there and include other clips and other media and stuff. So, and I can do all that with just the ISO button. And I do not care at all if my, hour to 90-minute long podcast is only in 1080. Not a problem whatsoever. Now I can just do everything right here. And it solved a huge problem for me that I was facing. I could have done that with the ATEM, I suppose, but the ATEM's media pool and the way that you like add things, I don't like. I don't like using the ATEM for anything more than switching, even though I know it can do a little bit more than switching. It's like so clunky that I never do. This kind of fixes a lot of those problems. Alrighty. Rodecaster Video is a combination of Rodecaster Duo, capture cards, and YOLObox all in one. That's a good way to look at it. That's why I called it more of a production suite than a switcher. I mean, because a switcher, like an ATEM, You're just combining sources and switching between them. But this does all of that in one. Is pretty cool. Emerald Audiovisual, all USB webcams are UVC. That's not the issue. As far as I gathered, it has to be uncompressed to work with the Rodecaster, not compressed. Well, there you go. You know more than I do about that, it sounds like. So some webcams work, some don't. The ones that I know do work right off the bat are the OBSBot webcams. This look like OBS bot, but it's OBSBot. Those work, just plug and play. So I'd be interested if Rode could add maybe more compatibility with that in the future. Use something like the InstaLink, or even just connect like my A7 IV right here as a USB webcam would be really, really fun. Kyle, what's up, Kyle? Ethics statement, you talk about not doing embargo videos. Could you talk about why that changed for the Rodecaster video? So I actually made the decision earlier this year to do this as an embargo video, and I took that off the ethics statement earlier this year because I knew I was going to do that, and I didn't want that to be there. At least I think I did. God, did I not save that document? That would be terrible. Embargo videos are something that I do not like, where there's a product released at a certain time. Oh, no, there it goes. Speaking of scheduling, I do not participate. I forgot to take that out. I need to now actually save the document and take that out. Yeah, there's as I wanted to. That's the answer. Like, honestly, because I wanted to, because I'm excited about this. I'm not excited about something when a company tells me to be excited about it. I'm excited because 8 months ago I saw this in action. And I was like, I cannot wait to tell people about this. And I want to do that. And I was still, honestly, even though I made that decision up until last week, I was still going to put that video out today because I was like, well, it comes out on Tuesday. I'll just do the normal Thursday thing. But there's a thing I've also learned where it's like, there's not a lot of nobility in just shooting yourself in the foot. Like, this is going to be a thing that people are interested in. It's something I'm excited about. I have a video ready to go. Why not just like, why go like, hey guys, I'm going to totally like make those things not be as successful as they could for no reason. And then, you know, something that Heather, my wife, told me was, she was like, you've been talking about Rodecasters for like 5 years. If the Rodecaster video comes out, like, there are genuinely people who'd be like, hey, is it going to be on Tom's channel? Does he have any thoughts about it? And it would be kind of weird to wait a couple of days to put that out there. So that's the only one I've ever done. I don't have any plans to do more embargo videos. I don't like typically watching them. But this was such a different thing. You know, it's like when it's, you know, the GoPro 13 and the Osmo Action 5 and all that stuff, where it's like the umpteenth iteration of the same product. Like, zero interest in embargo stuff there. But when it's like, this is something that is new and different, yeah, I kind of want to talk about that as soon as I can. You know? Let's see here. If money was no object, what would be your ideal setup? Man, I don't even know. I don't even know that I'm like capable. Like, if B&H were like, just go pick out everything that you want. I mean, I'd probably go crazy and get like a bunch of like FX6s or something, like do crazy. And then I would have some, you know, $15,000 4K switcher and stuff. But I don't even know if that's something you could do as like one person. I mean, honestly, like, I have a pretty ideal setup. I have more equipment to my name than any sane person probably should, and that I ever thought that I ever would. And it's hard to be like, I wish I had this, because I kind of pretty lucky and have a lot of everything. So I kind of have my ideal setup. I mean, don't get me wrong, B&H, if you want to let me grab everything that I want in the store, I'm happy to. I will definitely find things. I will definitely find things. Oh, we just talked about this. There we go. Call me Cubby. What's up? Any suggestions for what to change my settings to my Sony ZV-1 Mark II to help reduce file size? The ZV-1 Mark II, if you're in 4K, it's going to produce bigger files and stuff, but honestly, that's also going to look the best. So I would personally just, rather than change settings, I would get like the biggest, fastest SD card you can do. I use cards, they're V90 SD cards. There's a little like category on the card. V90 just means it's one of the faster types of SD cards. If you get like a 256 gigabyte V90 card, which can be a little pricey, prices have come down a bit, thankfully, that I would rather just make more space for the high quality footage than lower the quality of the footage. But actually, I'm not sure if the ZV-1 has this, but I wonder if my overhead cam can show this. Probably. So this is my A7 IV. The menus are going to look a little different, but if I go in here and I go to the movie settings, or sorry, not the movie settings, I go to the file format, which the ZV-1 should have a similar thing. There are different types of 4K. So there's, I'm using XAVC-S, which is 4K, but it's a slightly smaller file type of 4K. Whereas if I did some of these other ones, like the maximum 4K up here, it's going to be a bigger file size. And I didn't want to deal with that. And I've had zero issues with the quality of the slightly lower quality 4K. So maybe the ZV-1 Mark II, these names are crazy. Maybe that has a similar setting and you could use like the second highest quality 4K and that will help a bit. Because I was impressed. Once I did that, once I got my Sony cameras a couple years back and I switched them into 4K, I switched to that setting, the 4K files there are the same size as the 1080 files that I was getting out of my Canon EOS R, which is crazy. Alrighty. It's a great question. Bone Dragon, will this device innately integrate with Rode's wireless lavaliers? Yes, there's 2 receivers built into the video, so you can do what Rode calls their 4th generation devices. So that's like the Wireless Me, the Wireless Go 2, Wireless Pros, Interview Pro, all that stuff. Basically, any of their wireless things from the last like 2.5 years will pair directly to this. You don't need the transmitter. There's two receivers built inside. You do need the transmitter. You don't need the receiver. For video content creators, would you say the Rodecaster video is as groundbreaking as Rodecaster 1 was for podcasters? I would say no, as much as I love it, because like I would almost say that the ATEM and the original Rodecaster are my 2 big breakthrough products, because they genuinely they not only solved problems that were kind of unsolvable before, but the only way you maybe could solve those was really expensive. The ATEM, the cheapest ATEM is $300. Prior to that, if you wanted a 4-channel HDMI switcher, just switcher, the cheapest one, I think there was a roll-in that was like $6,000. And then beyond that, you would go into, 5 figures, sometimes 6 figures for a video switcher. So this showed up for $300 and I was like, oh my God, are you serious? And the Rodecaster was kind of the same thing. You're piecing together all these different mic setups, all these different recorders and mixers, and it's just a nightmare. And here's one thing that can do it all on the fly, and even then expand your capabilities by adding in, sound effects and audio clips and remote callers and Bluetooth. Like, that was crazy. So I don't think this would be that if it came out a couple years ago, but I think the ATEM, despite it being so much simpler, this was that breakthrough thing. And now there's like so many other HDMI switchers out there that are affordable, $300, $400, $500. And then the production suite side of things, oh, we got to get back in focus over here. The production suite side of things, I think this is, I forget, what did you say for the last one? You said, is it a big improvement over what's out there? Yeah, I think that's kind of it. It's a huge refinement to what's already there. Because if you're somebody who's used an ATEM for a number of years, you probably love it for switching, but there's a chance that you also have like so many frustrations. You're like trying to create all these macros to make stuff like, I'm not doing it right now because I only have so much mental bandwidth, but I could basically have this up here and then use this inspect button on the Rodecaster video to construct an entire scene, without you seeing it, and then go live with everything like paired together perfectly. Like little things like that are huge that you just can't really do with other stuff. The YOLObox being the one big exception, I really I love the passion of the people who make the YOLObox. They care. I mean, this thing gets like, what, 2 updates a week, it seems like sometimes. They're constantly updating this thing. I think there's an update after the update I just installed. Like, it's insane. So I love that. And this thing started off maybe like 4 or 5 years ago as being a little bit rough, but they've kept refining and kept adding stuff. And this can do a lot. And it's where I really think like a Rodecaster video competitor kind of lies, because it's a full-on production suite is what I've been calling them. But the Rodecaster video offers, some different things, a little more reliability, better audio, that kind of stuff. But even that, it's like, they're both good. And that's also a thing too. Like, this is really good and this is really good. One of them might just fit your needs better. And that's, like, for something to be good, it doesn't mean something else has to be bad, I guess, is kind of like, especially in the world of YouTube where things can go negative real quick. Something I kind of want to point out often. Apologies if I'm missing questions. I got like way behind over there. Let's see here. You think in the future Rode will update the software to where we can remotely switch from remote locations? So you can sort of kind of ish do that now. I think that would be cool, and it feels like they're wanting to put a lot of network connectivity in here. But right now, as long as you're on the same network, I can go wirelessly into Rode Central and control it and do switching. So in theory, if you had a way, like wherever you're at, if you had a way to like get onto the network that this is on, you could do that right now. So it's currently kind of possible. Can you set an audio delay for each channel independently? No, currently it's just one. The way it works on the Rodecaster, I can show you, is you go to your settings and you go to your output. There's an audio delay and you just do by frame. So I switched mine to 4 because 4 seemed to actually look a little bit better. That's what I was using in Ecamm anyway. So that's it right now, but that's everything. That's the whole device, the whole kit and caboodle right there. Is there a way to quickly adjust the audio level of a video file when you play back on stream? Yeah, if you have Rode Central up on your computer, you can just do it digitally through there, or you can just use this combo switch here. Let me see. You can push this and you can go kind of over, and your video clips, you can then just click on it and adjust your levels right there, which you see on the screen here. You can see what you're doing too. So you can see it in here, you can see it on there. And then in Rode Central, you can drag and drop your channels to put them in different orders. Because you kind of notice here, I was going through combo 1, combo 2, USB 4. I put them in that order in Rode Central, so you can adjust them there. Can you edit in real time while it's recording? It saves switches, cuts. Yes, absolutely. Save it to high. It saves it to a default file. Can you show the underside of the device? Oh, yes. I'm so sorry. I meant to do this in my video. I'll try to turn it over as best I can because there's a couple cool things here. Hopefully this doesn't destroy the stream. Yes, it is flat. There is a giant fan, and this whole thing's basically a heat sink. But there's also a VESA mount. This is something I meant to mention. I don't know. My Rodecaster. Oh, my God. We'll get there. I've been using VESA mounts for Rodecasters for ages now because I really like them. This, with all the cables coming out of it, I don't know if that would put like a lot of tension on an arm. Maybe it's not super practical, but also it could be amazing. So I kind of want to experiment. But anyway, there's a VESA mount on the bottom. Basically, the whole bottom's a heat sink. So it's pretty warm right now. Like mine has been on for a number of hours with all these inputs going in and out. It's a little warm. It's not like too hot to the touch or anything. I think the fan is running. But it's very, very quiet. When you first turn on the Rodecaster video, the fan goes like, and then for like 1 second, and then you never hear it again. I'm pretty sure it doesn't even need a fan. I think it's efficient enough that it's never going to have like overheating problems, but they put the fan in, again, just for peace of mind, redundancy, to never have to worry about that, because they don't want to market this as something that can be used in a pro setting, and then some like production company, bets a whole client project on it, and it does some silly little thing that fails, and now that's the reputation that it has. So I think the fact that Rode wants this to be successful is really good for customers, because it means they want it to be as reliable as possible. Alrighty. Are SuperSource baked into their own ISO? No. You get 6 video ISO inputs, the 4 HDMIs and the 2 USBs. But what you can do though, because like you can key, if you're using like a chroma key or something, right? You have like a green screen behind you. You can key it out and then make that a source. And I'm actually wondering then, if you use ISO, if the source would be the keyed out. I don't know. There we go. If someone is presenting a PowerPoint to a monitor in a room with an audience, how would you pipe the slides? Oh, this is such a good question, Andy. So you do have your 2 HDMI outputs in here, but this was something we talked about with Rode, because somebody had that exact same question. You need the slides to go in here, but you also need them to go to a projector. And I forget what the answer was. If there's a way to do it right now, you do have your 2 HDMI outputs, but one is just program, one is preview. You need just a clean, that's what it was. You need to be able to assign a source as an output, which currently you can't do because you can do program or preview. And it just needs to be able to be like, I need to be able to assign, like, say I have my slides running into channel 3 over here. I need to just be able to have HDMI B channel 3. There's HDMI A, HDMI B. I need to have that one just be this source. Currently, you can't do that. But that is something, I feel like that has to be something that pops up quickly, because that's like, that can't be that difficult to add. I know I underestimate stuff where it's like, it should be super easy to add this feature. That one feels like an easy feature to add. And I know for a fact it's something that multiple people talk to people from Rode about directly when I was in New York. So hopefully that is something that is taken into account. Will the Rodecaster video ensure a quick response from ATEM? I mean, probably a response, but quick, I don't know. There's no way that like Blackmagic, the ATEMs are kind of old at this point. There's no way that they're not like planning something. So they probably already have a response, and it's probably like maybe they'll adapt some of the features. But the thing I really learned, like I know nothing about making products, but the thing I learned is that Rode has been working on this for years, for like many, many years, not just like, 6 months ago, like we should make a video switcher, like years. And it's just, it took that long to get it to a point where it's like, it does everything it needs to do for the audience it's intended and does so reliably. So for then, I'm trying to think of like an analogy. I'm thinking of cartoons. So like there's things like The Simpsons, which would do like, maybe it's different now, but at least in the olden days, they would do like a movie would come out and they would do a reference on it, but you wouldn't see it for almost a year afterwards because it takes so long to make an animated episode of a show. And then there's something like South Park came out that had like totally different workflow, totally different animation quality, but they could, they could edit a show in a week and do like crazy, relevant, timely pop culture things or news things in their episodes because it was so much quicker, but the quality was very different. I think it's sort of similar. Like if Blackmagic has something that's already ready, maybe they could play with like firmware and features and that kind of stuff, but like they're not gonna change any hardware, I would imagine, or anything. So they probably already have their own roadmap, and I think Blackmagic has like, I think they've proven their worth, and I think they can just stay the course with their own confidence. Like you have DaVinci Resolve, you have all the ATEMs, you have all the higher end cameras, you have all the higher end switchers and stuff. Like I feel like they don't even necessarily need to totally address the Rodecaster video. They can kind of just keep doing their thing. And then as the customer, you just, hey, does one of these suit my needs better than the other? And you go for that one. That's what I think. I don't know. This is my Rodecaster video. I want this one here. Is your preview out over HDMI more delayed than an ATEM? I'm currently testing the RCV. There's like, there's the slight. I would almost say there's no delay, but I think there's like a very, very slight delay. It looks great to me. I don't know how it compares to the ATEM. Here we go here. When you record videos, do you record into the camera and then transfer it, or do you record via OBS? I use OBS, have audio sync issues. Normally I record into all my cameras and then sync it all together in Final Cut and stuff. Here, when I use this, I record internally and just drag that file in Final Cut, and it's fine. I didn't have any, I should say I didn't have any sync issues. There are user error sync issues. The Rodecaster doesn't have sync issues. Users could still make mistakes. But in OBS, it depends on what you're using. One thing too is like make sure your audio source, if possible, you can switch it to 48,000 kilohertz. That's going to really help. And then play with your frame rates. Sometimes you'll find that if you're in 24 frames per second or 30 frames per second, things will drift faster or not at all. So a little bit experimenting with settings is kind of the way to solve that. But that is, again, one of the things that's nice about this, you have all your audio, all your video going into one thing. Where camera am I at? Then you don't have to worry about that syncing and stuff. Let's see here. You cannot add transitions to an overlay, right? Oh, so this is a good question. So right now, I have some graphics, like I have an overlay. I don't know why this is the one I have. It's the Final Cut logo. So if I was doing a Final Cut tutorial, you could put somebody's name. Here it is. You could put somebody's name. You put a title or whatever here. Pop up your graphics. But if you notice, this is just a hard cut. Right now, it doesn't dissolve on, dissolve off. That is also a feature that I know several people that I heard in person. This was feedback given to Rode. I've also seen it. I don't know how many people they sent Rodecasters out before they came out, but I know that group has already, myself included, has already submitted like a ton of feedback. And then in person, I heard Rode getting a lot of feedback. And then now that that it's public and comments and things are popping out on videos, and then people are going to start getting theirs in the next couple of days, there's going to be tons of feedback. This, again, seems like a really simple one. Just add a nice dissolve or a wipe or something on here, which is what you would typically see when you see someone's name pop up on screen or whatever. I feel like that's got to be coming in like one of the first updates. Currently now, though, you cannot add transitions. Thomas and Rich, do you think the Rodecaster video would make sense to use for recording games with webcams as a standalone device instead of software on a second PC? I'm sorry, I'm trying to think. The nice thing about it is it takes all the video processing power off of the computer. So if you're playing games and streaming and trying to connect all your input sources on the same computer, that can be a really intense workload, and this just offloads all of that from the computer. So that could be really helpful. The thing that I was hesitant on is the gaming community. If you want a community that's all about 4K 60, that's the gaming community. And if that's not something you need, then you don't. But any of the you wouldn't be able to get any multicam switcher really, other than maybe like a Camlink Pro in an external enclosure, which is like you're doing a whole capture card thing. So it could help. It could help. It kind of depends on the quality you're going for there. I just saw a couple super chats that I have been ignoring, like a rude boy, but not the ska kind. So let's see. How about those Chiefs? Thank you so much. Is it possible to route my DLZ Creator XS into this? Ooh. I mean, through audio outputs, yes. Through USB, I don't know. I'm going to have to try that out. I feel like if not now, then at some point, especially because same parent company, Rode and Mackie, right? Like, makes sense. The Spare Tech Room, what's up? Thank you so much. Possibly dumb question, but could you take an inexpensive 4K media switcher and use it for a more multi 4K cam streaming through a capture card? I don't know. I'm trying to think of like an inexpensive TV media switcher. There's usually reasons why things aren't done that way. I don't know what it would be in that case. I don't know. All the people who gave super chats are giving questions I don't have answers to. I think that if that were an easy solution, it would be a very common solution. So like, here's another example. As some of you might know, I play hockey. I started like a year and a half ago learning how to play hockey. And you tape the end of your hockey stick, right? And you can use all kinds of color. You can do white tape, black tape, colored tape, whatever. There's a lot of players, I play goalie, but there's a lot of players who go like, oh, I only use black tape because then it hides the puck and the goalie can't see the puck. And there are some goalies who go like, I only use white pads because then the players, like, they can't tell where the ice ends and the pad begins and whatever. And it's like, if that was true, every player in the NHL would have black tape on their stick and every goalie would have only white pads. The fact that that is not the case leads me to believe that it probably isn't true. The reason I bring that up is because in this case, if there was some super simple, quick solution to just like jerry rig a nice multicam 4K interface thing, I feel like that would be the solution that everyone does. And the fact that it's not means that there's probably a reason that it's not. But I don't know what that reason would be. RV Miles, thanks so much for all your help. It was such a great resource. Thank you. I can't believe like I already almost have to wrap up soon. I didn't even get to like half the stuff I wanted to do today. But I like doing this live because you're going to ask me questions I don't know and I'm going to make a bunch of mistakes. And I think that hopefully that's helpful to see. Talks with 2K, what's up? Might be a dumb... Everyone says there's no dumb questions. We don't have to do dumb questions. I love all the questions. I had to have that same conversation with ChatGPT the other day, though. I was like, does it bother you if I ask a bunch of questions or I don't say thank you? And I needed reassurance. So I get it. If I don't have multicams, do you think they're still used for the Rodecaster video if you already have the mini? if you wanted to bring in other HDMI sources, consoles, computers, that kind of thing, it could be, we already have the ATEM, so that wouldn't be any difference. It would really be if you wanted to absolutely eliminate any additional software. If you don't want to use OBS, you don't want to use Ecamm, you want to be able to do everything here. That is where maybe. It doesn't sound like if you're doing a single cam thing, you already have an ATEM, spending the $1,200 for this is probably overkill and probably not necessary. If money's no object, then yeah. Oh, see, we're talking about people looking at. My lovely wife informed me that my screensaver turned off over here, and now it's just an empty blackness. There we go. Yeah, I don't like the screen being black in the background, so I just put this like colored backdrop on there because it looks so much nicer. These are the important things. Alrighty. A few things. I don't know if people are up for it, but I would love to kind of dive into scenes real quick, if possible. Make a scene about scenes. We talked about the underside. Let's see. Impressive Tony is impressively watching the stream at 2x speed, but I wonder, is there any dual HDMI switcher that records pass through 4K? Just use it. Oh, that's almost the same question we had. Crazy. Okay, here we go. Israel, sorry I came in late. Have you guys talked about the new beta update for the Rodecaster Pro Sports Mode? Oh, yes. So this is something that people have been waiting for forever on the Rodecaster, audio Rodecasters, is now you can basically like, I don't have mine there, but you can, wherever mine is here, you can now assign like, you have a lot more flexibility with virtual channels. So you can even put like specific applications on specific channels. So if you wanted like, here's my Spotify, my Discord, my Zoom call, my microphone, like, there's a lot more flexibility. They came out with a beta update for that. I got so overwhelmed with Rodecaster video stuff, but that is something that I want to cover in a video. So we haven't talked about that, but it is something that I do want to talk about for show. What software do you use to live stream? I use Ecamm, which is great, although the only thing Ecamm is doing today is popping up comments. Otherwise, everything's Rodecaster video. Oh, this is such a good question, Mr. Comic Studios. Is it possible to select which channels you want to include in the ISO recording? The feature I always thought Blackmagics are missing. Currently, no. But this was another thing that was brought up. It was like, you want the killer feature that's going to like really make Blackmagic mad. And the Rodecaster is really cool here because what you can kind of do when you go in and you assign stuff. So here's my audio, for example. You can kind of see combo 1. It looks a little blurry to me. There we go. Here's my audio. I can go here where it says add remove channels, and I can then just go through and select which things I want to be included in my audio mixer and which ones I don't. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 options that can be on screen at any time. If you could just have that same interface for which sources are included in ISO, because I mentioned it records 6. So it records the 4 HDMI and the 2 USB. So if you have like USB webcams, I'm not using USB webcams, and I'm still getting those files, which is taking up space. If you only have 2 HDMI sources, you don't need the other 2 or the other 4 inputs being recorded, which currently this records everything. The Blackmagic records everything. And so all that is just blank video taking up space on your drive that you're recording to. So the ability to just decide, I only want to record this, that, and the other thing is something that would be great. It's something that I know I and several other people talk to Rode about. And I don't know how like updating software works, but to me that seems like it would be a no-brainer because it would make the device use fewer resources, right? Like you're not recording all of the inputs, you're only dedicating to 2 of them. So I feel like it sounds like something that would be simple. It probably isn't as simple as it sounds like, just like adding 4K, but that would be cool. Do you have to set an FX3 to 1080 to use this? The cameras don't. So all my cameras are actually set to 4K, but the HDMI outputs are set to 1080. And then that goes in here. So we did do some experimenting to see, I say, because at B&H, they had the whole setup and I was just pushing buttons on all the cameras. If the HDMI is set to 4K, then the Rodecaster video won't see it. So it needs to be 1080 and then the Rodecaster video will see it. But the cameras themselves are all set to 4K. So that's fine. Can you make a series on how to set an Ecamm with all the different features that we have access to? I'm looking at a whiteboard on the wall over there and there's literally like multiple eCam video ideas. That is something I would love to do, because in terms of hardware switchers, the Rodecaster video is my favorite. In terms of software, eCam, I'm using it for years as well. So, and there's so many cool things you can do, but it's just like, you need to spend the 5 minutes figuring it out. And I would love to make a series, an eCam series. Chase, what's up? Oh, I've been loving your videos this week. See, I got my new watch. Thanks for helping me figure that out. Can this be used to just record audio like a Rodecaster? Does it always create a video file too? The ISO, like we said, is currently just everything. And is there a way to get auto switch to work with remote sources from eCam Live or Zoom? Yes, because you can pair. Here, I can show you. Oh, I didn't get to show this in my video, so thank you, Chase. Let's jump over to my computer. And if we go into Rode Central, here's the auto switching thing. So this is basically how it works. It gives you this little like instruction. Okay. So this is basically how it would work, is I can choose like one source, and then I just pair it to the links that I pair it to what audio I want. So you can pair that to USB. So if your ATEM is running into USB 1, or sorry, your ATEM, oh my God, I saw an ATEM and I just said ATEM. If Zoom or whatever, eCam, your interview is running through USB 1, then that can be the source that does auto switching. So the answer is yes. You just pair those what you want, and then you select which one has high, medium, and low priority. And there you go. Oh, I almost banned you, Chase. I'm sorry. Alrighty. I got to wrap it up a little bit, which I'm bummed about. This flew by and I didn't even get to cover half the things I want. Did you feel the ability to cut down workflows worth 1080 uploads? In some cases, yes. Mr. E, whose channel is fantastic. It depends on the video. Like, for a lot of my videos, I don't use the ATEM or Multicam anyway. So for like, I'll stick with doing my normal workflow that I always do. But for things that it kind of makes sense, where like I don't need to film a bunch of B-roll afterwards, I don't need any of that. I can kind of just get by with like a couple cameras and maybe like a top-down shot or a close-up or something. I would go down to 1080 and do that. And I might even consider going down to 1080, but putting it in a 4K timeline, because I heard, this is just what all the kids on the street are saying, I don't know if it's true or not, I heard that YouTube's encoding will make a 1080 file that's uploaded as 4K look a little bit better than a 1080 file uploaded at 1080. I don't know if that's true. I haven't experimented with that, but I might. Oh my God, I'm looking at the wrong camera. You saw the side of my head. I might do that. Take the Rodecaster video things, throw them in a 4K timeline, and just see if that looks good on YouTube. John says, love your videos. How do you record your YouTube videos? Do you record onto the camera and transfer it, or do you use OBS? Yeah, I typically do everything internally to the camera's memory cards. Is the fan loud? Not loud at all. I'm not even. It is running, but I have to smash my ear up against the thing to hear it, so it's not loud at all. Thankfully, because my ATEM, I don't know if it's just mine, it has an issue where the fan decides to become a lawnmower at random moments, and it can't. It's very annoying. So that is definitely a problem. What I've been doing with this too is the last month that I've had it is a lot of times, even if I'm not making anything, I come in and just turn it on and just leave it on for like 12 hours, 15 hours, just to see like, is it going to get crazy hot? Is the fan going to get really loud? And it's been a champ. It's been awesome. Have you tested video playback, either a laptop or some kind of hyperdeck? I haven't. Speaking of playback, YOLObox has instant replay, which is really cool. Currently not a thing in the Rodecaster video. I would love to be able to do more like instant replay stuff, but you do have video playback. So like I kind of mentioned this, but I kind of showed this, but I do have like, here's like my podcast intro and stuff that it is a video, believe it or not. There you go. So that looks great. Like it looks the same as anything. So you can preload your video clips and they're going to look pretty awesome. I'm not sure if that's exactly what you're asking. How do you feel about the color rendering of the unit versus the ATEM? To me, it looks, I mean, I don't know versus the ATEM. To me, this just looks like what my cameras look like. I do, to be fair, I have a little bit of a LUT turned on an eCam. But the raw stuff coming out looks the same as this. Now, I am using the default picture profile on my Sony cameras. I'm not using a log profile. So I don't know. I should experiment with log. I'm not sure what it would look like with log. Here we go. Is there a Black Friday, Cyber Monday deal on our Final Cut Pro course? That's a good question. Last year I did a Black Friday thing. I might do a Black Friday thing. It's been such a busy few weeks. I have like so many like new lessons that I want to add to the course that I just had to put on the back burner until some other things are taken care of. Let's see here. Do you think Rode will release a pro version in the future with 4K 60, bigger screen and more? I have no idea. If they were to do that, it would be $5,000 or something maybe, which is not to say they wouldn't. It's just, it's not going to be like $1,200. And I saw a lot of people that are like, oh, I can't wait to buy the Rodecaster Video 2 in January 2025. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. I think this is going to be out for a while, and then you might see some other supplemental products. But I really think, this is just me thinking, I have zero info, no non-disclosure agreements happening. I really think this is going to be super similar to the Rodecasters, especially the first one. When the original Rodecaster Pro, oh my gosh, I'm blocking it. I'm trying to point to it. When that came out, Rode was like, this is what we think it should be. This is how it should work. And then people started using it and like, oh, well, what about this? And how about this? And adding this. And it got some major firmware updates to the point where by the end of its like supported lifespan, it was not the same device in a really good way. Like it could do so much more until it literally like couldn't handle anymore. And that's when they needed to make a new device that had more power built inside of it. I feel like this is going to be a very similar thing where it can do a lot, but now it's kind of like they overspec it because they learned their lesson from the Rodecaster 1. They learned like put more power into a thing than it needs. And so now I have a feeling over the next year, 2 years, rather than seeing like new products and new models and spend $1,200 on this and $500 on this, I have a feeling you're going to see just like crazy updates that make this better and better and better and get to a point where it's like it kind of becomes a no-brainer, kind of becomes the default thing. That's what I think. Might take a few months to get there. It's great right out of the box, but it's going to get better once people start using it in real-world workflows and then sending in that feedback. And I think then it's going to really dial in and like we're going to see some really fun stuff. That's what I think. That's what my dollar great value crystal ball is telling me. Okay, very quickly, because I did promise this, I want to just show you making a scene. It sounds so funny, making a scene. So let's go here. Let's go to number 3. So I have a couple scenes already built, actually. I have this. Nope, that's not a scene. That's my media thing. Oh, here, actually. Sorry. I'm going to just do some basic things that I didn't include in my video that you might have seen in other videos. And I know we're like minute 100 of this. So by default, what we have here are the inputs and the scenes. If something isn't lit up, that means there's nothing assigned to it. I have no 5, so nothing will happen here. But I do have 4, 3 that'll change. These are scenes. So I have 3 scenes currently. I have this one, which is computer picture-in-picture. I have this one side-by-side, and I have this one, kind of all the things there. Actually, I have this one, which, I don't know, just playing around with overlays. And then I've got this one, which has a video background there. So those are the different scenes, and that's kind of the default. Sorry, I thought it was here. That's kind of the default, the way this is. Here you have your media, your overlays, your multi-source, and your keying. And then when you do this, these sort of change. So for example, media, I can go here, and now I have 2 media clips loaded in. One is my podcast intro, podcast outro, so I can play those. So I can be on source 1, push that media button, push the intro, and then go back to source 1 when it's done. Have put in a request to be able to assign what happens this, because you can currently assign it to play once or loop, but it'd be nice if it finished and then went to a source. You can do that in Ecamm, like the video's done playing and it goes to source 1 or whatever. So that would be kind of cool. Your overlays kind of work the same. You press the overlay thing, your stuff there. I got my Final Cut. Boop, boop. And then a lot of that, the easy way to do a lot of that is just through Rode Central. So for example, oops, I didn't mean to put on the overlay. I meant to go to the scene. So for example, what I can do here is I can go into my overlays. I can click all this stuff down here, and it's going to be exactly the same as if I'm pressing it on the Rodecaster. It changes the buttons on the physical device as well. So I do have a few things. I had this little emoji I made of the FX3 right here. So I can add that as an overlay, and now I can then adjust it and kind of move it where I want. I could scale it, crop it, all that stuff. So this is just a funny, like, I put these on my little message board that I have, these emojis. But so for example, I could put that here, and then maybe I could use that as something like whenever I'm using this camera, this is the FX3, I have this overlay pop up. So that's kind of like how you add overlays, which is pretty simple. And then doing scenes. There we go. We're getting there. Doing scenes is kind of very similar. So like, let's build a scene from scratch here. We're going to go here. You can do a template. There's a lot of different templates. What happened? Oh, we have no source. So you can still hear me. I took away the source. So you can't see the computer then. Interesting. Anyway, interesting. Okay. I was trying to figure out how to show that. Anyway, if I click on the scene thing, I guess we'll just have to do this. Let's just delete it and start from scratch again. How should I show this? I'll have to put it together quickly. When you click on the scenes up here, it then asks you to choose, do you want a template or do you want custom? Templates have some really cool like pre-built things, and then the custom ones let you do whatever you want. So I'll do a custom one. It's going to go black for a second. I'm going to click a button that says custom, and I'm going to add a source so you can see. There we go. So now I've added this to the scene, but I can also play with this a little more. So I can resize this. Maybe I want to do like, let's do something fun here. Let's kind of put this over here. And now I think you can see what's happening here. I can add another input. Let's put the Rodecaster itself. So I have that as the background for some reason. I don't know. Let's put there we go. That's kind of a cool background. I can add another source. So this one I'm going to add, let's do camera 2. Hi, I'm here. I can drag from the end to sort of crop it. So that way if I just sort of want me here, and then I can move this around and then also resize it. So this is very similar to like how Ecamm Live works, except I'm doing this with just the Rodecaster video, which is kind of cool. I could pop me like in the corner over here maybe. And there's a whole scene. I can put borders around everything if I want. I can change the colors. I wish there were more color options at the moment. I can change the size of the borders if I want to, which is something I've been liking quite a bit. And now this is just scene D. So it is saved in the Rodecaster video. I can go back here, and now even when I turn this off, even when I turn this off, scene D will come back and just be this. And you can also save different shows. Wrong camera. You can also save different shows. So say I had like certain videos and scenes and media and stuff that was for a live stream, that could be one show, very similar to how the Rodecaster Pro works. And then if I had like my podcast could be another show, and I can load those, and all of it's just saved to the micro SD card. So that way I can like switch between those things without losing them. So you don't spend all this time building scenes, turn off the device, and then you lose your scenes, which would be obscene. That would not be fun. All right, I think that kind of brings us to the end of most of what I wanted to talk about. There's just so much. There's just so much. I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface, but it's a good problem to have, honestly. All right, we're going to check in with the chat, and then we're going to go vibe with lunchtime, I believe. Vase amount, how cool is that? Yeah. I mean, even if you don't use it, having the option is cool. And the only thing is, I'm very curious what kind of arm you would need to be able to handle the mass of cables coming out the back. Would be cool. Doc says it's a luxury ATEM with better usability, similar but better. I honestly, I don't even think they're competing products, because the ATEM is a switcher, and the Rodecaster Video is a full-on production suite. But Doc is saying he took his off the arm because the cable weight did seem a bit much. So I guess that kind of depends. Currently, we talked about this a bit, John. Currently, the ISO function does not give you, like, it gives you all the files, but it doesn't give you like an XML file. That is a huge bit of feedback. I know tons of people have been submitting to Rode, so I wouldn't be surprised if in a very near update, it then can generate XML, which means when you're done, you not only get your default file that has all your switching, you not only get all your ISO files, but you also get a file that has all the cut information that you can then load into your editor of choice, Final Cut, Resolve, Premiere, whatever. And then all that's right there, and you can then fine tune your cuts a little bit. I would use that a lot. It would be awesome. Just got here. Does the new video switcher make it to where Ecamm and StreamYard will not be needed, including bringing in guests? It depends on what you need. If you need guests, if you want to pop up comments on screen and stuff, the Rodecaster Video can't do any of those things currently. If you don't need those, but you just want to build scenes and do stuff like that, then the Rodecaster Video can do that. There are probably other ways to figure out bringing in guests. Like routing in a computer or doing like a Bluetooth phone call or something. But there's no like native way currently where like they can log into like a Rodecaster green room or whatever, which would be very, very cool. It's not, and that's kind of the thing is like I'm not going to get rid of Ecamm. I use Ecamm constantly. I'm going to continue to use Ecamm constantly. This is just another awesome tool. Yeah. There we go. DS2 looks cute with the SM7B. I like the DS2. Let's see here. Okay, I think I'm kind of getting catch up to where I was. I might be missing a lot, but I did the best I can. Oh, were people talking about the screen? Yeah, thank you for that. I didn't notice, and that's on for a reason because I want it to be on. So I'm glad that you fixed that. One of my favorite things to do now is I got the Sony 70 to 200 millimeter telephoto lens, and so I love having a camera over here, but like kind of see how the SM7B has a screen in the background. With that lens, I zoom in even further, and it's like it looks so nice as like just a backdrop in between stuff. Alrighty, I think I'm about as caught up as I can be. Wait. Is Handle having a BOGO? I gotta go get some ice cream. Mac Boruca, what's up? On my day off, watching you guys while editing my next video, talking about sad story of Colin Griffith. Please always be aware of your children and mental health. Sad story, but interesting. I hope you, I hope your video comes out great. It's weird because like editing videos is fun, but you're editing a really heavy subject, which is not fun. But you can edit it and do the subject service, which is fun isn't the right word, but satisfying, rewarding is probably a better word for that. So hope you're enjoying your editing session. Yeah, Doc would murder me if I got rid of Ecamm, but I have zero desire to get rid of Ecamm, by the way. All right. So I think that's pretty much where I'm going to wrap it up just because it's been almost 2 hours. And yeah, but I had a ton of fun. So if there's more you want to know or if you need another live stream, happy to do another Rodecaster video stream. There's so much. My plan is to make very small digestible videos about the Rodecaster video. So it doesn't have to be a 2-hour live stream or a 30-minute video, but like here's one feature in 5 minutes, 6-7 minutes or whatever. And that's cool. And I would love to get a whole like playlist going where it's like you can just kind of go through and learn all the different features and cool ways to use them. That's something that I want to do there. So we're going to end with this last question. Alexica says, which wireless microphone do you recommend buying? The Rode Wireless Go 2 or the Rode Wireless Me? Have a nice Thursday. Oh, cool. I would go with the Wireless Go 2 because it has 2 transmitters. The Me only has 1 transmitter. Yeah, it looks like that's what other people are saying as well. I would do that. The 2 transmitters are really nice. Even if you think you'll never need it, you'd be surprised how suddenly you're like, wait, I need a second audio person, and it's right there. So there we go. Yes, thanks everyone for being here. I'm going to put up my output screen. So the stream will end in a minute after I end it if you want to, say adios to everybody and stuff. But thank you for being here. Thanks for putting up with my wacky technical problems. But I had a ton of fun. So hope you learned something. Hope you saw something interesting. Maybe got a little more insight into this like very, very cool. It's a very small, tiny, compact device, but there is a lot that this thing, there's a lot that this thing can do. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great, happy, healthy, fun rest of your day. Good luck with whatever you're doing. Enjoy it. I'll see you all next time.